Hey, it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com, and a bit of a unique situation going on in the province where I live right now. There's a number of fires and wildfires going on. There's one about a 20-minute drive from my house. All you can smell is, it's kind of like smoke, but it doesn't smell like campfire. It's got this more smog pollution smell, I guess, because it's not just like firewood that's burning, it's like everything, right? The whole forest is on fire. And I want to talk about that a little bit. One of the big themes on my channel, it's a gardening channel, but it's really like stuff about gardening I wish I knew 10 years ago, stuff about owning property, stuff I wish I knew 10 years ago, stuff I wish I knew 20 years ago, right? It's all the things I wish I knew that no one told me and no one seems to be talking about. So today's video, what I want to talk about is owning a house that backs onto a forest like I've got here. Because when you buy a house like this, you say, hey, I'm going to get a nice piece of land. I've got all these options for things I can do. I can have an enormous garden like this. It's peaceful. I can go for a hike in the forest. I can go fishing. I can go hunting, whatever. I got all this nature, all this beautiful scenery. You know, it's a little bit of a drive, but I mean, where I live, it's about, I can get to the city in about 30 minutes. I can get to work. If there's no traffic, I can get to work in about 35 minutes. If there's traffic, it might take an hour. But, you know, for what we were able to pay, we got a really good deal on this house and this land. And it's probably the only reason I have a YouTube channel like this, because I started growing this enormous garden. And then I was like, well, I don't know anybody with a garden this size. It's probably an interesting thing to watch on YouTube. And no one was talking about the sort of stuff I was talking about. At least I couldn't seem to find the content I wanted on YouTube, so I decided to create it. That's how I got started with all of this. But anyway, I've never done a video about, you know, I don't know if you want to call it negative accents, the risks. The risks of owning land, not the risk of owning land backing onto a forest. And that is the possibility that the forest could catch on fire and you could lose everything. That's the situation I'm in right now. I mean, if I'm lucky, it won't happen. And if I'm unlucky, it will happen. There's nothing I can do to prevent it. But, you know, there's a huge, if this catches on fire, it'll be an inferno, right? We'll just have to be evacuated. This is what happened a couple of days ago, right? People were just told, you got to get in your car and go somewhere, get out, right? You know, what about my horses? Let them go. What about my dog? I don't care. You know, it was just like, you guys got to get out of here. This whole thing's going to burn down, right? And luckily, I don't think anyone was hurt. But a number of people, I think it's about 200 people have lost their homes so far. And I think the fires are still going, and you can smell it. Anyway, the whole point of this video, I'm talking all over the place because it's sort of where my mind is that if you live in a place like this, the risk of forest fire is always there. You know, you're in a semi kind of rural area, and people burn stuff all the time. People burn garbage, they burn cardboard boxes, they get drunk and have big fires to have a good time, you know, roast marshmallows or cook meat or whatever, right? You know, some people burn their lawns, even though they're not supposed to do that sort of thing. And there's all kinds of reasons why these things can stop. Some people just flick cigarettes out the window. Anything, or a bunch of teenagers can just go in the woods and light a fire for whatever reason, and it gets out of hand. There's 1,000 different ways the forest can catch on fire, and it's a constant risk. And when I bought this place, I'd only ever lived in suburban areas. I grew up in a suburb. I moved into the city when I was in my 20s. I lived in a city till I was about 30. And when we got our first house, that was in a suburb. It was a suburb in a rural area, but the actual neighborhood was like a suburban type thing. Just, you know, houses and small properties and, you know, corner store, 5-minute walk away, that sort of thing. Nice place. And then I bought this wild nature place. It's just great. But I think the first few years when I lived here, I never worried about forest fires. And then I bought this place in 2011. Every year in the summer when it's hot and dry like this, I don't think we've had rain for like 6 or 8 weeks. It's a real, I don't like watering my garden. I've had to water my little seedlings this big right? They're not going to find their own water. Not when it's just dry. So I've been watering things out here. It's really irritating. I have to devote like 25 minutes every morning to watering. I don't have a drip irrigation system because I never need it. The last few years, when it gets like this, every time I smell smoke, especially in the evening, someone's having a campfire, you know, just little friends over. You know, a lot of people will come to visit people that live out here, and they'll have a little bonfire in their backyard. I get so nervous because I don't know, is that just some people having a good time in their backyard? Or is the forest on fire and is my house going to burn down? So I'm not anxiety prone. It's just something that gets on your mind, right? You've put your money into your home. You know, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, all your possessions and all that sort of stuff. And just the chaos of having that all sort of taken away. And especially, I mean, it's not just my wife and I, we've got 2 kids, right? So it would be very chaotic to stuff ourselves into someone else's home, thinking about all the people that have had to do that right now, right? So I guess the point of the video is if you're living somewhere that's not like where I live, and you're thinking of doing it, oh, it'd be so idyllic, and I'll have all this land, and I can do what I want, right? That sort of thing. Just bear in mind that there is a risk, right? Some idiot could flick a cigarette out a window and burn your house down, right? And I'm making light of it because it's, you know, I've got a weird sense of humor where it just seems so unfair that you could lose everything because someone does that, right? But that is, so it's not funny, right? But it's funny in a kind of, you know, there's an old Yiddish proverb, men make plans and God laughs, right? I always think of that. That's the way I sort of look at it. Think of all the time and energy I've put into this house, and someone doing that could destroy it, right? So yeah, if you are thinking of doing something like this, you know, moving out of the city and into the country and buying a house that backs onto a forest like this, just bear in mind that it's a risk of owning rural property, right? And you really, what you're doing is you're putting this major asset in the hands of other people, right? Because it's other people that are going to light the forest on fire. The forest isn't going to light itself on fire, right? Well, freak, you know, you could have lightning or something like that, perfect conditions, anything can happen, right? But yeah, you're not as in control as you might think you are, and you have to be able to find Zen center to be able to just cope with that sort of thing, right? You have to trust the government officials that they will inform you if it's time to evacuate, right? We've got a whole system here. Your phones make all these noises and they tell you, you know, danger, 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 and there's danger, and here's what to do, right? You just have to trust that system, and hope you're lucky and things don't go wrong. And otherwise, just try to keep yourself busy and get on with the business of life. I mean, I'm going to go inside right now, and my rhubarb is about 2 feet high. I'm going to make some rhubarb crisp, make a delicious meal for my family, and try to forget about the fact that, you know, the wind could change direction and it could all be gone tomorrow, right? I just have to somehow put that out of my mind, watch a movie or something, right? You know, you can't have 6 beers because you might have to just evacuate, right? So you gotta be ready to move, right? But for me, I'd like to think I'm pretty good at, you know, I got a good night's sleep last night. When I went to bed, I wasn't thinking about this. I just watched a movie, and, you know, I spent the day doing lots of stuff, so I was tired. I'll do the same thing tonight, right? Just try to stay busy doing stuff, occupy my mind, try to be brave for my kids, for my spouse. Try not to, you know, act worried, right? Just get on with life. What else are you gonna do? The advice I gave my son, because he's a bit worried, was, well, either it's gonna burn down or it's not, and there's nothing you can do about it one way or the other. So why spend any time thinking about it? Why not just get on with it? You know, if the fire comes towards us, we'll deal with it. And if it doesn't, there's nothing to deal with. there's really no point in worrying about it. But yeah, that's part of living in a place like this. You got to be able to, you know, do that mental magic, and it's not always easy. Anyway, hope you found this interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. And until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.